Hello, I'm Paul Zaishuk, founder of Elastic Steel Method of Athletic Conditioning. When I was putting together the hamstring flexibility system, a lot of different questions came up, and I know that different questions are going to be coming up, so I would like to address one of those questions, and I'm sure a lot of people have this question. So now what we're going to go over is two different starting positions. We have a starting position that looks like this for a static hamstring stretch. Okay, one leg is here, one leg is extended. This is a single hamstring stretch. This is one position, and this is another position. What is the difference between these two positions? Okay. Well, the most basic difference that can be noticed right away is the outward rotation of the hip here. The hip is rotated outward, and the inward rotation of the hip here. Okay, so this leg changes. We rotate the femur in and we rotate the femur out. Okay, now this position is usually, by most trainers' opinion, is considered safer than this position. Okay, now safer depends on your body. Okay, some people have their hips naturally rotated out, and some people have their hips naturally rotated in. Here I have my femur rotated in. However, if my hip is naturally rotated out, I might have issues and pain doing this just by staying in this position. And if my goal is to stretch the hamstring on this leg and that's it, or maybe I should be in this position because my hip is already rotated outward and this is more comfortable for me. However, on the other hand, if my hip is rotated inward, I might simply find this position more comfortable. And as I bring my leg here, the rotation at the hip will transfer into the knee, causing problems in the knee. Which is sort of funny because a lot of people say, don't sit in this position, you're going to have problems with the knee. Well, you go into this position and you may have problems with the knee if that much of an outward rotation is a problem for you. Now, a lot of yogis do have an injury to this knee when performing this stretch. Okay, it's not uncommon. And the reason for that is if you go all the way forward, what you're doing here is you have your hip outward rotated, you have it slightly abducted, and you have it slightly flexed. As you go forward, you're going to be flexing this hip more and more and more. Very often the focus is on this leg, the whole breathing is towards this leg, and then the side gets neglected. The torque of the hip goes into the knee and there's an injury of the knee. Okay. Now, a very common question that comes up is, how come I'm sitting like this? Okay. Very often people get into this position and they sit like this. So, what is the problem here? The most common assumption is the problem is with this hip. 10% of the time the problem is with this hip. 90% of the time the problem is with this hip. Okay? If my adductors on this leg are stretched enough, I will not have any issues here with this leg at all. However, if this adductors are tight, notice what happens. Okay? I'm contracting my adductors. No way I can rotate this in unless I have extremely flexible hip, and that's unnatural. Okay? So, for those of you who know what mermaid is, if you work in your mermaid position, working on the adductors here, okay, the adductors that actually flex and outward rotate the hip, not the ones that extend and inward rotate the hip, then what's going to happen here is once you lose these muscles, they become looser, you'll be able to sit more normally. This is going to get vertical. Now, if you're only going to go forward and you're not going to go back, some dance schools and some taekwondo schools actually force the student to go back in this position and stretch all the way back. If you don't do that and you only go forward, then what's going to happen is as you go more and more forward, you're going to work the rotation of this hip out of the equation in this position. However, in this position, the rotation is going to happen more and more and more. You're going to be outward rotating this even further. So if you do not go back and you can comfortably get into this position, there's no problems in going forward. That's not an issue. Okay, so that's a visible difference in the outward rotation of this hip. Is there any difference in this hip? Well, if you ever tried stretching this way as opposed to stretching this way, you'll notice that there is a difference. Okay? By inward rotating this hip, naturally what you do is you cause an anterior tilt in your pelvis. The anterior tilt in your pelvis drags the ischial tuberosity, the upper attachment of your hamstring, back, already stretching your hamstring. So for most people, unless you have a lot of flexibility in this hip and you have the flexibility in sacroiliac joint, for most people, doing this, inward rotating this femur, will actually move the pelvis and already put a little bit more stretch on the hamstring. Or for some people who have issues with this hip, a lot more stretch on this hamstring. Okay? However, on the other side of it, although there's a stretch on this hamstring, you go forward a little bit more here, you stretch your hamstring that much more than if you go forward the same amount here. Okay? Also, natural and not natural stretch. When most people kick or lift a leg, they're not in this position. When most people kick or lift a leg, there is an actual inward rotation of this hip. Think of the front kick. So, in a way, this is more natural. I'm not saying you should always prefer this stretch over this stretch. Remember in the beginning I said it depends which way naturally your hip is. You can always lift the hip. You can always slip the knee with the props. So you can take care of it that way. But from a natural point of view, this is more natural, this is more functional of a stretch. Okay? And the last thing I'm going to say is very often the questions are the relaxed stretches effective? If you do a relaxed stretch, how is that effective to other stretches? Well, they do have their place. And if you do them correctly, especially with the techniques that I'm going to be showing in hamstring flexibility system called toes heel loose, or THL, relaxed stretch becomes very effective and you can actually see the results immediately after a few seconds of correct breathing and correct muscular manipulation. So I hope that answered some of your questions, and watch out for more videos.